Firebase Z's trailer just dropped. I'm just gonna go through it and talk about the things I've noticed. First thing I noticed at the very beginning, when they give the location and time, it's 1984. If you remember, the intro cutscene for Die Machine actually says November 13th, 1983. So we know at least 2 months have passed since the destruction of Project N Station. That's just something I wanted to point out. I don't think we've ever got a solid definition of time passing between maps before, so I thought that was kind of interesting to point out. We also get a clear shot over the village that's going to be at least the beginning of this map. I want to point out one thing: you cannot see the satellite you see later in the trailer, so I think this is a completely different area than the other area we will discover later. I'll talk more about that later on when we reach that other location. There's not much to see with the overview of the village. Don't notice any points of interest whatsoever other than flaming dumpsters and some scaffolding, which I'm going to point out again in a moment. We then get a back shot of some dude that we don't know and we haven't seen before. He has one arm in a sling, and he seems to be important to this map's story. I'll be talking about more about him when we do see more of him in the trailer. I did look at all these TV screens, and I don't see anything of note. It just looks like different sections of the map. He's probably going to be an overviewer of the map. He's probably going to be telling us what to do or giving us hints towards the Easter egg. We'll see how it goes. We then see a girl crawling on a rooftop. We know for sure this is Maxis due to some information that Treyarch tweeted out and posted on their different social medias. I don't like this look for Samantha. I really hate that they took mystical little girl controlling zombies and just made her army man, but maybe I'm just a boomer. There's also a note that says some footage not actual in-game content. I was gonna comment and say that this probably means that it's just an intro cutscene, but in-game content sounds more like this is made for the trailer and the trailer alone. This isn't a cutscene. So I don't think this whole Samantha part is gonna be in the game itself. I just think we're going to get an intro like we did for Die Machine, where your operator gets dropped off and then you're informed, hey, go save Samantha. We're then shown this portal, which we'll see more of in the trailer. We're then shown that Samantha is captured by what seemingly might be the mini Mogwai, which we'll be seeing again later in the trailer. This does raise a few questions. Does Omega have control over the zombies? We don't know who the announcer's voice is this time around. I saw some theories saying that it's a Nikolai, but I personally don't hear it. We do know the main quest is going to be to save Samantha in this map, confirmed by Treyarch themselves in a blog post, like how destroying Project N Station was the main quest of Die Machine. We're then shown an overview of what looks like a plaza square. It looks like you're in front of what I assume is a statue and what I assume is a larger building. You can see an ammo box there, and this is actually the first time you see the operators in the map themselves. I want to assume this is the spawn area, or at least early on in the game. I'll be talking about what I think the map flow is later, but looking around you see some elevation, you see a lot of blood and what you can assume is going to be accessible areas. I noticed that the village is very vertically inclined. It looks like there's about 2 stories to this village, and I actually do like that a lot, especially with Cold War's mounting mechanic. It makes everything more seamless opposed to just running into walls constantly. And when the camera switches, you can clearly see one zombie spawn point, a window. It's very distinct. You can see the blood under it, which they use a lot in Die Machine to indicate this is a spawn point. You also see the same scaffolding and burning dumpster from a different shot in the trailer. So I think this is the same room, but a different angle. And that's why I think it's a spawn room. I think this village isn't very big, and I think it's just the start of the map, and the bulk of the map is going to be through the portal. My friend compared it to Moon, where you start in Area 51 and then immediately head towards Moon itself. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I also like the idea of 2 different sections of the map that play differently, with the village being more vertically inclined and the Omega base itself being more horizontal, being one stretch of land like a base, a military base of some sorts. Generic shot of operator, generic shot of operator, new guy again. Here's the front view of him. You can clearly see he's the chiseled gent on the left of the Firebase Z poster. Now there's a lot of speculation on who these 2 men are. One has already been answered. The man on the right is clearly Dr. William Peck, who Treyarch tweeted a bio about. and the other guy is this guy in the trailer. Now, there's a lot of speculation saying that this guy might be Eddie from Black Ops 4 and, the kid Richtofen, quote unquote, grown up, like how Samantha herself has grown up. Personally, I think the other guy looks a lot more like Richtofen, but considering there's different realities, dimensions, what have you, it's not a far cry to think that this guy is Richtofen. The trailer itself does cast a wave of doubt in his reliability, especially the ending, which I played at the beginning of this video. I think the big reveal at the end of the map is going to be his betrayal and the reveal that he is indeed Edward Richtofen. That's my prediction. After a few action shots, we get this overhead view. There's a few things I want to point out. This is clearly the area where Samantha stabbed the guy in the neck in the beginning of the trailer. You can tell by the exploded wall and the roof. Taking that into account, you can assume that the portal is up on this area. We also see the first instance of the arrows written on the wall from Die Machine in that purpley, the ether paint. Yeah, ether paint, let's go with that. I do have a theory about this ether paint, how it constantly helps you and never mocks you like the chalk drawings did in the original zombies. I believe someone in the Dark Ether is trying to help your operators, point them in the right direction, help them with the side quests, blah blah blah. There's a lot of speculation that Victus might be still alive in the Dark Ether, so it could be them, it could be Primus, could be Ultimus, it could be a character we've never heard of before. Chark is going all out that Aether is something the Russians are studying and trying to figure out. Chark is really going all out with this Aether idea, tweeting multiple Aethernaut propaganda posters. And clearly the Russians have improved on this technology, considering the portal actually teleports you to a location instead of making the current location you're in just purple and weird. We then confirm my suspicion that the portal is right behind them with another angle, where the zombies are chasing them and they are forced into the portal itself. The operators are then teleported to a brand new location. That satellite is too big to not be noticed in the village. This is clearly a military outpost of some sort, or a research facility, where the other one was just a town or village in Vietnam. This could be anywhere. The next shot is more of an overview shot, trying to show more of the area. This seems like a larger part of the map, a lot of open areas, not so much vertically inclined. I do want to point out that you can look in the distance and see a lot of purple. I think that's going to be outlining the entire military base. A few theories I have with this is that this entire base could be located within the Dark Ether itself, the only area not affected being the base itself. The Russians finding a way to push the Dark Ether away, or subvert it, or something like that. Another theory I have is that the mode Onslaught, which is a PS4 exclusive at the moment, where you have to follow an orb to certain locations, and outside of the orb's range is a purple pinkish valve kind of thing, showing you that you cannot go there. This could just be a way to show what is and isn't out of bounds, which is probably the most likely explanation. Something I didn't notice while writing my notes, you can actually see the mystery box's beam during this shot. Right over there, I'm just going to circle it. The next two shots with the operators running, you can actually notice an AUG wallbot, which is not available in Die Machine, so that's kind of neat. I also want to point out that it's a white outline, where in Die Machine all the chalk outlines determine what rarity the weapon is. I'm unsure if this is just a placeholder or if they're actually going to be able to buy basic level tier wall weapons. We'll have to wait until the map releases. We get the first full body shot of what I'm calling the Mini Magua. You can clearly see that the hand that came through the portal earlier to abduct Sam was indeed this Mini Magua hand. His design reminds me a lot of a World War II zombie, the boss one from the Foggy one. I'm not going to look it up because, World War II zombies, who the fuck cares? We're then shown a good sweeping shot of what looks like a main area. People say that this object in particular looks like a Wonder Spear. However, I think it's just a soul box or something related to the Easter egg itself. While the operator is firing into a horde of zombies, you can see something blue shoot out of one and fly off screen. We can assume this is a soul, and this is why I think the Wonder Spear is a soul box. This is probably a step in the Easter egg. The outward explosion also reminds me a lot of Onslaught, which would make sense if the rumors are true and Firebase Z was supposed to be a launch map. I'm seeing a lot of comparisons to Onslaught mode, and it would make a lot more sense than comparing Die Machine to Onslaught mode. Since no room mechanics from Onslaught was used in Die Machine and vice versa, this makes a lot of sense. We then hear a voice say pick up the pace, and between that and the blog post that says save Samantha before it's too late, I am getting a feeling that the Easter egg might have a time limit on it, or maybe even a round limit, like you can't go past round, say, 30. This would make sense because Die Machine unlocks more and more stuff as rounds go on. Round 15 is when the Wonder Fizz machine shows up, the 2 pathways open up, and other strange things around the map happen. We're then shown this shot, which shows a crashed plane on what looks like trenches. Even the layout with clear MG nests suggests that this might be a World War II base, a lot like how Die Machine... I keep comparing this to Die Machine. I'm keeping that in. Especially with Project End Station being a World War II facility that the Russians discovered, I feel like this map is going to be following the same kind of idea. We've then shown a few action shots with a first-person view of the trench area, as well as a sentry gun. We're then shown the wonder weapon of the map, which was the ray gun AR that was leaked a while ago, and then everyone stopped talking about for some reason. You guys remember that? That was weird. It clearly has a noob tube that's functioning in the little gameplay snippet we get. We then see the player flip a switch and then turn it into a normal AR. My prediction is that the grenade launcher and the basic ammo is going to pull from the same ammo pile. Like have each shot be 1 and each grenade be like 10 or something like that. I feel like that would be a simple way to not only make this gun unique, but balance it in a sort of way. We're then shown a jump pad that's very reminiscent of Horizon Drock. Between this and the teaser in the Pines map, I can see a Horizon Drock remake or remaster, something like that in the future. We've then shown rapid-fire clips of different things in the map, namely Tombstone Soda Machine, which looks so much better than the Black Ops 2 one. Some sky explosions from what we can assume is the new kill streaks, which I believe is a napalm strike, and a new boss zombie that hasn't been teased until now, which I believe people are saying looks a lot like the Mangler from Garage Crovy, which I'm not too familiar with, so I'll take your word for it. And the final shot of note being this massive monster shooting a giant laser beam. At first, I thought this was going to be a subversion of expectations, where this giant monster is actually on your side. Like how a lot of people believe that the giant monster in Die Machine is actually on your side. However, if you look closer, you can see the 2 operators actually shooting at this monster. It's probably going to be a boss fight at the end of the map, which I'm very excited for, considering that the Die Machine finale is not really a boss fight and more of a defend the base kind of thing. And to cap us off is the clip I showed at the beginning of this video of this man slowly walking towards the camera and Weaver being very wary of him. Yeah, this guy's gonna betray us, I can feel it. And that's it. I'm very excited for this map. There's no hints or even nudges towards any remake, remaster ideas, other than, hey, that kinda was the thing in Horizon Drock. With so many people being hellbent that this is gonna be a Shino Numa remaster or remake, I'm really happy that we didn't see anything resembling Shinonuma. No Flogger, no Doctor's Quarters, even the thought that this might be a map in the vein of Summit from Black Ops 1. This looks like a fully original map, and I'm really happy for that. People can finally stop complaining that we only get remasters and remakes, and then complain that we didn't get a remaster of Kino. I fucking hate this community.